I mind him well. He was a queer old chap, come like myself from swat old Erin's sod. He hired me once to help his harvest and the crops was fine that summer. Praised be God he found us, Rosie, Mickey, and myself, just landed in the emigration shed. Myself was tying on their bits of clothes, their mother rest her tender soul was dead. It's not myself can say of what she died, but 'twas the year the praties felt the rain, and rotted in the soil, and just to draw the breath of life was one long hungry pain. If we were heathens in a foreign land, not in a country grand in Christian pride, faith, then a man might have the face to say 'twas of starvation me poor Sheila died. But when the parish doctor come at last, when death was like a sun burst in her eyes, they looked straight into heaven and her ears were deaf to the poor children's hungry cries. He touched the bone stretched on the mouldy straw. She's gone, he says, and drew a solemn frown. I fear, my man, she's dead. Of what? Says I. He coughed, and says, she's let her system down. And that's God's truth. Says I, and felt about to touch her dawny hand, for all looked dark, and in me hunger bleached, shmal be at in heart. I felt the kindlin of a burning spark. Oh by me soul, that is the holy truth. There's Rosie's cheek has kept a dimple still, and Mickey's eyes are bright. The crather there died that the weeny ones might eat their fill. And when they spread the daisies thick and white above her head that once lay on me breast, I had no tears, but took the child here's hands, and says, we'll lay the mother to her rest. Anok. The sod was green that summer's day, and rainbows crossed the low hills, blue and fair, but black and foul the blighted furrows stretched, and sent their cruel poison through the air. And all was quiet on the sunny sides of hedge and ditch. The starving crathurs lay, and them as lacked the rent from empty walls of little cabins wap and turned away. God's curse lay heavy on the poor old sod, and when upon her increase his right hand fell witheringly, there seemed no bit of blue for hope to shine through on a stricken land. No fist the reach chimblies smoked again the sky. No mines yawned on the hills so full and rich. A man whose praties failed had naught to do but fold his hands and die down in a ditch. A flame rose upward in me feeble heart, when, passing through me cabin's hingeless door, I saw the mark of Sheila's coffin in the grey dust on the empty earthen floor. I lifted Rosie's face betwixt me hands. Says I, me girleen, you and Mick and me must lave the green old sod and look for food in them strange countries far beyond the sea. And so it chanced, when landed on the street, old Dolan, rollin' a queer old shay, came there to hire a man to save his wheat, and hired myself and Mickey by the day. And bring the girleen, Pat, he says, and looked at Rosie, lannin' up agin me knee. The wife will be right pleased to see the child, the weeny shamrock from beyond the sea. We've got a tidy place, the saints be praised. As nice a farm as ever broke and trod 100 acres. Us as never owned land big enough to make a lark a sod. But Dad, says I heard them over there tell how the gold was lyin' in the street, and guineas in the very mud that stuck to the old brogans on a poor man's feet. Begorra, Pat, says Dolan, may old Nick fly off with them rapscallions, scaming rogues, and send them thrampin' purgatory's floor with red-hot guineas in their polished brogues. Och, thin, says I, myself agrees to that. Old Dolan smiled with eyes so bright and grey, says he, carpe up your heart. I never queue since I come out a single hungry day. But then I left the crowded city streets there men galore to toil and them and I, myself went with me axe to cut a home in the green woods beneath the clear, swart sky. I did that same, and God be praised this day. Plenty sits smilin' by me own dear Dieu, and in them years I never once have seen a famished child creep tremblin' on me floor. I listened to old Dolan's honest words. That's 20 years ago this very spring, and Mick is married, and me Rosie wears a sweetheart's little shinin' golden ring. Could make your heart leap just to take a look at the green fields upon me own big farm, and God be praised. All men may have the same that owns an axe and has a strong right arm,